The Lion and the Rat. Once there was a little rat who wandered about with her head in the clouds, daydreaming. One day, she wasn't looking where she was walking and found herself between the paws of a large lion. The lion, a proud and brave beast, looked down at the tiny rat. She looked so helpless and scared that the lion felt sorry for her. He opened his paws and let the rat go unharmed. The rat, amazed by the lion's kindness, thanked him. "I will never forget this, lion," she said. "I will be your friend. One day, I may even be of help to you." The lion laughed quietly. "You're too small to help me," he said. "But good luck to you, little rat." A few days later, the lion stepped into a rope trap left by a hunter. He roared and twisted with fury, but as much as he struggled, he could not get free. Many animals heard the cries of the king of the jungle. One by one, each animal tried and failed to help him. The tiny rat appeared. She put the rope between her little claws and chewed it with her sharp teeth. After much gnawing, the lion was free. The giant lion looked down at the tiny rat and said, "Thank you, rat. You may be little, but you were brave when I was scared. You saved my life." From then on, the two animals remained friends always. They helped each other, no matter how big or little the problem.
The Tortoise and the Hare. Once upon a time, a hare and a tortoise lived in the same village. The hare was known for being loud and lazy. The tortoise was quiet and hard-working. The hare often boasted, "I am the fastest animal in town." When he heard the hare bragging, the tortoise thought, "You're fast, it's true, but I work hard and won't give up." One day the town had a race. Only the tortoise was brave enough to race against the hare. The fox was the referee. "On your mark, get set, go," he said. The hare raced away, sprinting ahead as fast as he could. The tortoise followed slowly and steadily. After running at full speed for several minutes, the hare got tired. He looked down the road. "That tortoise is slow and I am fast," he said. He lay down for a nap. While the hare napped, the tortoise kept walking. The tortoise kept a slow and steady pace until he reached the finish line, passing the hare resting on the side of the road. The hare was fast, but the tortoise was right. Slow and steady wins the race.
The Three Billy Goats Gruff. 3 goats sat on a hill. They were hungry. Across the river was a field full of delicious grass. But there was a problem. On the bridge that led to the field sat a fox. "Look at the grass," said the smallest goat. "I am hungry, but we cannot go on the bridge. The fox will eat us up." "I have a plan," said the biggest goat, and he whispered it to his brothers. The smallest goat looked at the bridge. "I will go," said he. Tip, tap went the bridge. "Yum," said the fox. "I like goats. I will eat you up." No, no, said the little goat. I am small. Wait for my brother. He is bigger than me. You go, said the fox. I will wait. The biggest goat whispered to his other brother, who was of medium size. The medium goat looked at the bridge. I will go, said he. Tip, tap, went the bridge. Yum, said the fox. I like goats. I will eat you up. No, no, said the goat. I am small. Wait for my brother. He is bigger than me. You go, said the fox. I will wait. The biggest goat looked at the bridge. I will go, said he. Tip, tap, went the bridge. The fox licked his lips. You are big, said the fox. I will eat you up. But the biggest goat ran at the fox. Bam! I got him, he said. He sat down on the grass with his brothers. They munched happily. And the fox never bothered them again.
Urple and Burple. Urple and Burple were trolls. They were also brothers. Urple was older than Burple, and he was bigger than Burple, too. They spent each day bumbling and stumbling around the hills near their home, gathering food to cook for dinner. One afternoon, they compared what they had found. I've got 10 plump sheep, Urple said. He split the sheep into 2 piles, one for himself and one for his brother. Then he started the fire for cooking. Burple looked at the piles, frowning. He counted 7 sheep in Urple's pile and only 3 sheep in his. Urple, Burple whined. Your pile of sheep is greater than mine. I'll fix it, Urple said. He scooted one of the sheep from his pile and put it in Burple's pile. All better. Burple glared at his older brother and counted again. Urple, your pile of sheep is still bigger than mine. 6 is more than 4. 4 is less than 6. See? Said Burple, pointing to the piles. Burple bumped one of Urple's sheep over and added it to his pile. There! Now we each have 5 sheep. Okay, Urple grunted. Now that we have an equal number of sheep, what did you bring for dinner? 10 big turnips, Burple said, dumping them onto the floor. Urple scrunched up his nose and took a couple. He pushed the rest toward Burple. Turnips were his least favorite food. Burple counted the turnips. There are only 2 in Urple's pile, but there were 8 in his. You have fewer turnips than I do. We should have an equal number. It's only fair. Burple, I don't like turnips, Urple said. Urple, you know you have to eat vegetables or you'll start growing another nose like Mother always said. Do you want to grow another nose, Urple? Burple chided. Urple was about to respond when he saw that the sheep had eaten all of the turnips. Now look what you've done, Urple, Burple howled. While the 2
The Misspellbook. Galando was a typical wizard. He spent his days reading spellbooks, making potions, and waving his wand at unlucky toads. He found a heavy book of potions and spells at the wizard library that looked like it might make for an interesting afternoon. He opened the musty old book on his table. He found a recipe for an elixir of youth, and read the first step. Add a frog hair and beetle to the cauldron. He scratched his beard. A frog hair? Frogs don't have hair. Where am I going to find such a thing? He muttered to himself. Galando consulted all his wizard friends. Not one of them knew where he might find a hairy frog, but one of them knew a spell that put hair on frogs. So, after all the trouble of magically giving a frog a beautiful mane of hair, Galando finished the potion. He took an eager swig of the elixir. Then, suddenly, his beard started growing longer and grayer and grayer. He looked in the mirror with alarm. "I'm not younger, I'm older," he cried to his reflection. He turned to the book and reread the instructions. He slapped his hand on his forehead when it occurred to him what must have happened. Oh, of course, the writer forgot to add the commas. These were supposed to be 3 separate ingredients. Whoever wrote this forgot to put commas between the items in the list. Letting out a frustrated sigh, Galando peered over at the fabulous frog and its youthful golden hair. It gave a ribbit. Ribbit. How could I have known that's what it meant? There should be commas after each item in a list of 2 or more things, he exclaimed. The frog blinked at him. I bet you don't even know what a comma is, Galando grumbled. How should the recipe have been written? Well then, no more potions, Galando announced. He flipped through the book until he found a spell that looked simple enough. This spell will turn a pile of stones into ice cream hats and chocolate cupcakes, it read. Ha! Ice cream hats? There's no such thing. The commas are missing again. It should say, this spell will turn a pile of stones into ice cream, hats, and chocolate cupcakes. Galando mumbled to himself. He gathered a pile of stones on his table and waved his wand, chanting the spell from the book. When Galando gave a final flick of his wand, the result was not what he expected. There were chocolate cupcakes, to be sure, but instead of ice cream and hats, on top of the table were hats made of ice cream, already melting messily on the table. Galando threw his hands up in the air. The author actually meant ice cream hats? I thought he left out the commas like he did before. What am I going to do with all of this dessert? I don't even like ice cream. What did Galando think the recipe was supposed to be? He glared as the frog's long tongue shot out to take a lick of the ice cream hat. I've had it with this book, he said with disgust. He turned to the front cover and found the author, Phibius Shuffleby. Beneath his name was a line that said, This extraordinary spellbook is dedicated to my parents, the mayor of Hexville and Brutus. The mayor of Hexville is the author's mother? Something must be done. I will not stand for this lack of punctuation. Wizards could get hurt, Galando declared. He didn't know where to find Phibius Shuffleby, but he knew where the office of the mayor of Hexville was. He snapped the book shut and left at once. When he arrived at the mayor's office, he burst right through the door. The mayor looked up from the papers on her desk with surprise. Your son, Phibius Shuffleby, is a danger to wizards everywhere, Galando boomed. His spellbook never uses serial commas. Do you see this beard? He said, waving it in the air like a flag. It's 7 inches longer now. 7! The mayor shook her head, baffled. I don't know what you're talking about. Phibius Shuffleby isn't my son. I don't have any children. But, Galando began. He opened the book cover again and reread the sentence. The mayor calmly reached over and added a comma with her quill and fixed the punctuation to fix the writing so that it didn't look like the mayor and Brutus were his parents. I believe Brutus is his cat, the mayor offered. What did the text look like after the mayor fixed it? Ugh! Galando howled, his face turning red under his beard. He stormed out of the office. You forgot your book, the mayor called after him. Good riddance, he called back. When he made it back home, he cleaned up the ice cream mess and calmed down. After all, it was only a comma. He opened up a brand new cookbook he'd been given as a gift and decided to make the stew recipe his friend had recommended. He followed the directions carefully, even when it said stir in mustard, greens, acorn, squash, kidney, beans, and celery. Galando sat down and sipped a spoonful of soup. He immediately spat it back out. "That's the foulest thing I've ever tasted," he choked, reaching for the book. He reread the recipe and saw that it was listed under 4-ingredient recipes. Something was wrong. Maybe some commas were missing? He looked at the cover. It read, Easy and Extraordinary Eats, a cookbook by Phibius Shuffleby. What is the correct version of this recipe? With a defeated sigh, he took a bite of one of the chocolate cupcakes from his earlier accident. They were quite delicious. At the beginning of this story, we learned about Galando's hobbies. What did he like to do? The end. Natalia's magic marker. One day, Natali'a learned a lesson about grammar that she couldn't have been more excited about, the possessive apostrophe. She learned that adding apostrophe s after a noun meant that whatever thing was next belonged to the noun before the apostrophe. It was such a simple thing to hold so much power. To make an apostrophe, all you had to do was start with a point and make a short, curved line that pointed to the noun before it. Now, no longer would she have to wait until her birthday or holidays to get what she wanted. She could make anything hers with a magic marker and punctuation. Natali'a set out to claim all her favorite things. First, she crept over to her sister's room while she was seeing a movie with her friends. Natali'a found the blue shirt with an owl on it that her sister never let her borrow. "This shirt belongs to me now," Natali'a said with a grin. She took the cap off her magic marker and wrote on the tag. What should Natali'a write on the tag? Natalia's dad liked to collect vinyl records. He kept them organized in a big box. She always loved to go through each one and look at the colorful album covers or take the records out and marvel at how shiny they were. She climbed up on a chair to reach the box on the very top shelf in the living room. Uncapping her marker again, she wrote a new label on the box. What should Natali'a write on the box of records? All the hard work was making Natali'a hungry, so she opened the fridge to find a snack. Inside, she saw the bag of broccoli that she knew her mom would try to make her eat tonight at dinner. "Black," she said aloud, scrunching her nose. Then she had an idea. Her mom and dad liked broccoli anyways. She remembered that if something belonged to 2 or more people, you only had to put the apostrophe after the last noun in the series to show possession. What should Natali'a write on the bag of broccoli? Natali'a grabbed a box of crackers instead. She was pleased that she had a few more treasured items to her name and one less bag of broccoli. Natali'a sat on the floor for a while, pondering all the things she'd like to have for herself. The swing set at the neighborhood playground popped into her mind. She started walking, munching on her crackers. On the way, she saw a bunch of birds pecking and wandering around on the sidewalk. The silly way they walked made her smile. She knew birds loved to eat crackers. Natali'a remembered that to make a plural noun that ends in S possessive, you only add an apostrophe at the end. She got her marker out and started writing on the box. What should Natali'a write on the box of crackers? When she got to the playground, both swings were taken as usual. She folded her arms crossly while she waited. One of the children, swinging, noticed her and hopped off with a smile. "You can have my turn," he said politely. As the boy skipped away, Natali'a thought that maybe it wasn't so bad to share the swing with the other children. She remembered that to make plural nouns that didn't end in S possessive, all she had to do was add '(s). What should Natali'a write on the swing set? Natali'a scooted onto the swing and started pumping her legs back and forth. She went higher and higher and finally jumped off. She landed with plenty of style. "Whoa," said the boy. "That was awesome." He came up to her and introduced himself. "My name is Charles. What's yours?" "Natali'a," she replied. She thought about the name Charles and wondered, "Charles, how do you make your name possessive when it ends in an S?" "It's tricky. You can either add an apostrophe and an S at the end, or just an apostrophe. Both ways are correct, but for me it's easier to remember that Charles is a singular noun, so I should add '(s), Charles explained. Natali'a nodded. "Thanks for explaining." She took out her marker. "Is there anything I can label for you in return?" Charles looked a little confused for a second, but then smiled. "There's a kid in my class who has the same shoes as me, and when we take them off, sometimes they get mixed up. Also, his feet stink," he suggested. "Say no more," Natali'a said. Charles sat down and Natali'a wrote on the bottom of each shoe. What should Natali'a write on the bottom of each shoe? After Natali'a finished, Charles thanked her, and she made her way back home. When she walked in the door, she smelled the terrible stench of broccoli cooking. "Well, hello. You've been busy," came her dad's voice. His eyes crinkled as he looked over at Natali'a. "You know, that magic marker isn't quite that magical. Just because you write down that something belongs to you doesn't mean it's true," her mom chimed in. Natali'a sighed. "I know," she admitted. "I'll let you choose what record we listen to tonight anyway," her dad said with a wink. He leaned in and whispered, "And we'll feed our helpings of broccoli to the dog." The end.
Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.